We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. The storm outside was loud, but not louder than the silence inside the house. I had just pulled into our driveway in Boise, Idaho, 2 hours earlier than expected. Work conference wrapped early. I'd grabbed her favorite red wine and a small crystal pendant she once admired at a shop downtown. I remember smiling, thinking how surprised she'd be. But when I stepped inside, that smile died before it could reach my eyes. The front door was unlocked, half open, actually. Unusual. My boots scraped against the hardwood floor as I stepped in, greeted not by my wife, but by a sound I hadn't heard in months, her laugh. High-pitched, flirtatious, too easy. Then a voice. A man's voice. Close. Too close. I moved toward the living room with slow, steady steps. One hand still clutching the wine, the other shaking. There they were. Alyssa, my wife of 4 years, was on the couch, knees curled beneath her, shirt unbuttoned just enough to show skin I thought was mine. Beside her was Damien, my ex-best friend, the same guy who moved to Miami after high school to chase dreams. The same guy who ghosted everyone, including me. His hand, it was sliding under her waistband like he had every right. I didn't remember dropping the wine bottle, but I did. It shattered. The two of them jumped. Alyssa's face turned white, then red. Travis, she stammered. But I didn't wait for explanations. I charged. My fist hit Damien before he could speak. He stumbled backward into the side table, knocking over a lamp. Alyssa screamed, not at him, but at me. Don't touch him, you damn idiot. He's my first love. Time slowed. My ears rang. She didn't come to me. Didn't apologize. She ran to Damien, touched his face, whispered his name like it was sacred. Then she looked up, eyes burning, cold, calculated. We've been together for 4 months, ever since he moved back. And we're getting married. My heart didn't break, it calcified. Alyssa stood and smoothed her shirt. As for you, Travis, you're weak. You were always weak. I'm filing tomorrow, and I'll leave you with nothing. She smirked. But in that moment, something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't even going to fight for her. I was going to bury them, both of them, so deep in the consequences of their choices that they'd choke on the dirt they kicked in my face. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my truck at the back of a Walmart parking lot with a black notebook in my lap and a mind on fire. Step 1, no contact, no response, no closure. Step 2, find the cracks in their lives and pry them wide open. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I logged into every account I had access to. Our shared cloud, our old emails, the phone plan I still paid for. Alyssa never changed the passwords. She was too confident. The messages were there. Dozens of them. Disgusting, mocking, cruel. She called me predictable, soft, a placeholder until the real man came back. The worst part, she wasn't hiding it. Damien had sent pictures. Hotel rooms. Expensive meals charged to our joint credit card. Even screenshots of their plans for after the divorce. What they'd do with the house. What furniture they'd keep. They laughed about me. I saved everything. Organized by date, timestamp, location. I gave a name. The wake-up folder. I wasn't preparing for a fight. I was preparing for a demolition. A week later, Alyssa filed for divorce. She thought she had it all figured out. Claimed the house. Claimed the car. Said she was keeping the dog, even though I was the one who trained him since he was a pup. But I didn't contest it. Not right away. Instead, I hired someone. A forensic accountant. A specialist in digital trails and asset recovery. Within days, we discovered Alyssa had been secretly funneling money from our joint savings to an account under Damien's name. Thousands gone. She used company time and resources to book private trips. And her emails? Full of confidential HR documents forwarded to Damien's startup. She worked in human resources. The irony. Her company had a zero-tolerance policy for ethical breaches. It was time to trigger the first domino. An anonymous package was mailed to her employer. No return address. Just screenshots, PDFs, calendar entries, metadata. Alyssa was suspended the next morning. Meanwhile, I've been digging into Damien. Turns out, Mr. Life Coach Entrepreneur had a sealed record from when he was 19. Fraud, wire transfer theft, juvenile record, buried, but not forgotten, and not declared on the federal business loan he applied for 3 months ago. I contacted the lender. A week later, Damien's loan was flagged. Approval rescinded. Investigated for federal fraud. The second domino fell, and I hadn't even shown up in court yet. 3 weeks later, I walked into court wearing a plain navy blue suit. Nothing flashy. No smirk. Just calm eyes and a full binder in my lawyer's hands. Across the room, Alyssa looked radiant, at least on the surface. Hair styled to perfection. Diamond earrings that glinted under the lights. She clung to Damien's arm like he was a trophy she'd won. They thought I'd show up broken. Small. Ready to surrender. Everything just to move on. But I didn't come to surrender. I came to watch them implode, slowly, silently, and in front of an audience they weren't ready for. My attorney, Edgar Blackwell, one of the most ruthless in Boise, stood and addressed the judge like he was reading a weather report. Calm, cold, unapologetic. He handed over the binder labeled Exhibit A, Pattern of Deception and Financial Exploitation. In it, itemized credit card records with Alyssa's signature on luxury hotel stays. Her IP log showing misuse of work servers after hours. Proof she shared sensitive employee information with Damien, who had no legal clearance. And the kicker? A video clip from our Ring camera of Damien walking out shirtless the same morning she told me she was working overtime. The courtroom was so quiet I could hear someone's pen drop in the gallery. Alyssa's lawyer tried to pivot, called it a marital breakdown, claimed I was bitter, that the materials were invasive, that I was spying. But the judge raised his hand. Miss Holloway, he said, referring to Alyssa by her maiden name, can you explain why these work-related emails were sent from your company account to Mr. Lake during work hours, with explicit relationship context? Alyssa blinked. Her jaw tensed. Damien leaned in and whispered something. She turned, slapped his arm. That was the first visible crack. The judgment came fast. I retained the house. Full equity. The shared car? Mine. The dog? Judge awarded him to me after a screenshot showed Alyssa texting, I don't even like that mutt. He's Travis' emotional crutch. She was also ordered to reimburse half the missing savings. And her employer? Already launched a formal termination process. Damien, meanwhile, was facing scrutiny for falsifying identity history on federal forms. He had 3 days to respond before charges would be filed. As they walked out, Alyssa's shoulders slumped. Damien tried to hold her hand. She pulled away. I didn't say a word. Just watched. That wasn't revenge. That was justice warming up. Back at home, everything felt different. Not better. Not healed. Just quieter. I started keeping a routine. 5 a.m. jogs around the lake. Evenings helping coach Phil with youth baseball. Kids who needed role models more than advice. Weekends fixing up the shed, turning it into a small studio. But beneath the calm, I was still watching the final pieces fall. 2 months after the hearing, Damien disappeared. I got a text from our old high school friend, Jenna. Yo, you hear about Damien? Gone. Left Alyssa in the middle of moving. Skipped town. Arizona maybe. I didn't reply. Just opened Alyssa's Facebook. Her relationship status was gone. No more engagement photos. Just blurry brunch pics and empty captions like, finding peace in the chaos. But chaos had already found her. Her employer's HR board released a formal statement. Alyssa Holloway was permanently banned from holding internal compliance roles across all affiliates due to breach of conduct. And Damien? His business license had been revoked. His name flagged by financial regulators. My fingerprints weren't on any of it. I had made sure of that. 1 week later, Alyssa emailed me. Subject, just talk. I know I was cruel. I know I broke you. But Travis, we had real memories, right? Before everything. I just want to talk. I stared at the message for a long time. Then clicked, mark as read, and shut the laptop. Silence is underrated. Weeks passed, and one Saturday night, I walked into a rooftop bar in Boise, one I'd never dared go alone before. I'd been invited by a friend of a friend. Thought I'd stay 20 minutes max, but I ended up staying longer. Because of her. Her name was Charlotte. Witty. Gorgeous in a natural way. She asked me what I did. I told her I managed logistics for a regional delivery firm. Honest work. Nothing fancy. Then she leaned in and asked, Wait, were you ever married to Alyssa Holloway? I paused. She laughed. You that Travis, huh? The one who stayed quiet but left her in flames. I blinked. Honestly, she added, sipping her wine, that was legendary. I smirked for the first time in months. Not because of the pain I'd caused, but because for the first time, I wasn't the man she broke. I was the man who rebuilt. The silence was growing louder for Alyssa. 3 months after the court hearing, she was out of her corporate job, abandoned by her soulmate, and living in a one-bedroom studio above a vape shop on Franklin Avenue. I didn't have to stalk her online. People brought me updates. Boise was smaller than it pretended to be. And when someone fell hard, word got around. Charlotte and I weren't officially dating yet, but we'd met a few times after that rooftop evening. She had this way of asking about the past without turning it into a pity parade. One night, over cheap tacos and soft jazz in the background, she asked, "Do you ever miss her?" I shook my head before the question finished. No, but I miss who I thought she was. Meanwhile, Alyssa kept sending messages. Not pleading, probing, like she was fishing for something. A crack, a breadcrumb, anything. Hey, I just saw your photo on that blog. Small Business Spotlight? That's you, right? I passed by our old house. You changed the curtains. Looks good. Just wondering, do you still have Duke's vet papers? The landlord's asking. No mention of Damien. No apology. Just this flat tone, like we were strangers catching up on LinkedIn. And I never replied. But one email stood out. Subject: You win. Damien's gone. He left me with bills I can't pay and a reputation I can't fix. You win. Happy. I stared at the screen for a full 5 minutes. No, I wasn't happy. Because revenge, despite what movies tell you, isn't joyful. It's just clarifying. You stop needing closure. You stop rehearsing what you'll say if they ever come crawling back. You just live. And that's what I did. I launched my own delivery logistics firm. Small at first. Just me and 2 vans. But I knew the business from the inside. I treated my drivers like partners, not tools. Charlotte helped design the logo. 3 months in, we broke even. 6 months in, we were signing our first regional contract. While Alyssa's world shrank to eviction notices and online job applications, mine expanded, quietly, purposefully, with no spotlight. I got invited to speak at a local entrepreneurship panel. I almost didn't go, but I'm glad I did, because that night changed everything. There were maybe 50 people in the audience. Business students, some local investors, a few board reporters. After my talk, nothing fancy, just honesty about starting over, an older woman approached me with a firm handshake and a curious smile. Your story, she said, reminds me of my nephew. He rebuilt after his fiancée left him for his boss. Now he runs one of the top architecture firms in Portland. I smiled politely. People love a comeback, she added, but they never realize how much pain gets buried beneath the triumph. I nodded. Sometimes the pain is the reason we build it all. She blinked, then slipped me a card. It was for a regional investment fund looking to back logistics startups. 3 months later, I had a new office, a new fleet, a 5-year deal, and a new chapter. But Alyssa? She tried to fight back, filed an appeal to reopen the divorce case, citing emotional coercion, legal intimidation, and mental distress. Her claim? That I had manipulated her, cornered her into self-destruction, and used my resources to make her look unstable. But the evidence was airtight. My lawyer shut it down in 48 hours. The judge didn't even offer a hearing, just issued a formal denial with a one-line comment. This court will not entertain attempts to rewrite truth with narrative. It was over. I didn't hear from her again for 6 months, until one Thursday evening, while I was walking Duke by the lake, my phone buzzed. Alyssa. But it wasn't a message. It was a photo of me and Charlotte. Someone had snapped it outside the bookstore. Below it, just 4 words. You look happy. Finally. That was the last time she contacted me. And I never replied. Because some ghosts aren't meant to be buried. They're meant to be ignored. 6 months passed like a tide. Quiet. Pulling away everything old. Charlotte and I had started dating officially. Nothing dramatic. No posts. No fireworks. Just long walks, shared playlists, and the occasional lazy Sunday in her apartment with pancakes and bad reality TV. There was a peace in it I hadn't known I needed. One night, she asked about the house. Do you ever feel weird living there? After everything. I looked around. The fireplace Alyssa had insisted on installing. The scratched-up kitchen island. The shadowy corner where I'd once overheard betrayal. And I realized something. I didn't feel anything anymore. So I made a decision. The next week, I put the house up for sale. Alyssa had fought so hard for it in court. said it was her dream space, even though she ended up with nothing. But now it was mine, and I no longer wanted it. Not out of spite, not out of pain, out of peace. I sold it above asking price to a young couple expecting their first child. Watching them walk through the open house, hand in hand, beaming, was the closure I never knew I needed. Charlotte, and I moved into a condo overlooking the river. Smaller, simpler, no ghosts. But then came the twist I hadn't planned. Alyssa showed up at the logistics hub. I was coming out of a meeting with my team when I saw her standing by the vending machines. Same eyes, same carefully managed expression, but her posture? Deflated, like her spine forgot how to stand tall. "Travis," she said. I paused, nodded, said nothing. "I saw the article in the Tribune about your expansion. Congrats." I gave a small thanks. Nothing more. She hesitated. "I've been struggling. I got a temp job sorting mail for a law firm. It's fine. Not what I trained for, but fine." I nodded again. Then she looked at me, voice low. "I just want to know, how did you move on so fast? How did you not hate me forever?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "You were never the storm, Alyssa. You were the warning siren." And I finally listened. She blinked. Tears welled. But I didn't wait to watch them fall. I turned and walked back inside. She never came back. That night, I told Charlotte. "You okay?" she asked softly. I thought I would be angry, I admitted, but just felt hollow. She reached for my hand across the table. "Because you've already built something bigger than revenge." Months passed. My company went statewide. We opened 2 new branches and hired 40 new employees. I got asked to join the board of a mentorship program for underprivileged teens. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had once been a man unraveling in a parking lot, staring at betrayal through a cracked windshield. Now I was being asked to help build futures. One night, at a local business awards dinner, I gave a speech. Nothing long, just real. "Sometimes," I said, "rock bottom isn't the end. It's the starting line. Betrayal isn't the fire that burns you. It's the spark that forces you to rebuild, brick by careful brick. And if you do it right, you build something no storm can shake." The room went quiet. Then applause. I stepped off stage, heart pounding. Charlotte met me with a proud smile and whispered, "She was never your ending, Travis. She was just your comma." A week later, an envelope arrived at the office. No return address. Inside, a single note, folded once. "I saw you speak. You were right. I never knew what I had. And now I never will." I threw it away. Because forgiveness isn't about letting someone back in. It's about letting them go. It's strange how peace doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with fireworks or a grand finale. It just slips into your life quietly, one ordinary morning, when you realize you haven't thought about them in weeks. It happened for me at a gas station. I was filling up the company van. Sun was out. Some college kid was struggling with the air pump next to me. And as I leaned on the hood, sipping burnt gas station coffee, I realized I hadn't dreamed about Alyssa in months. No more reliving that afternoon. No more waking up replaying her voice. No more shadow on my chest where trust used to live. I'd moved on. And not because I found someone else, but because I found myself. Charlotte and I never rushed anything. That was the magic of it. We didn't fix each other. We just showed up. Week after week. Quietly. Consistently. We built trust like you build a cabin. Carefully, one plank at a time. She didn't care about my past, but she respected it. She never asked for revenge stories. Never judged the scars. And that's how I knew it was real. One fall evening, while walking by the river with Duke trotting ahead, I asked her the simplest question. "You want to stick around? Like long term?" She looked at me, grinned, and said, "I thought you'd never ask. No ring yet. No rush. Just a promise." And sometimes, that's more than enough. But before I close this story, I want to be honest about something. Revenge never gives you what you think it will. It won't erase the betrayal. It won't rewind time. It won't magically make the pain poetic. But if you do it right, if you keep your head down, let silence speak louder than rage, and focus on building instead of burning, it gives you something better. It gives you yourself back. And that's the one thing they were never prepared to lose. Alyssa? She moved out of Boise. I heard she's in Colorado now, working part-time at a realtor's office. Her name doesn't come up anymore. People stop caring about what happened between us, except when they talk about the guy who kept calm and let karma do the yelling. Apparently, I became some kind of urban legend, the quiet husband who turned the tables. But that's not the legacy I wanted. That wasn't the revenge I lived for. My real revenge was building a life she'd never be invited into again. Last week, I got an envelope in the mail. No note, no message, just a faded photo of Alyssa and me from years ago, creased and old. The back had one word written in faint ink: regret. I stood there for a moment, looking at it under the kitchen light. Then I fed into the shredder. Because regret is a prison, and I don't live there anymore. To anyone out there still standing in the ruins someone else left behind, don't chase them. Don't break down. Don't let your story end there. Heal, work, rebuild, and then walk away. Let your silence echo louder than any scream. Because the best revenge is not needing revenge anymore.